Julian, Steve, take one.
When it comes to girls, like I'm now getting responses and messages like this. So I'm basically like trying to help as many young black men achieve like results like this, like achieve a transformation similar to this.
My favorite must.
If you had to choose one.
You have from a guy, like
Yeah.
arms. I love arms.
You have to visual it.
I know you're eyeing these bad chicks around the gym with these lustful thoughts. And when you can't release those thoughts with a real woman, you go home, you stroke one out, and now you're embarrassed and you're disappointed in yourself because you're sitting there with your meat in your hands when you really want the real thing.
And if you want to get there fast with my personal guidance and avoid the 8 years of trial and error I went through, click the first link below.
Right, I know that your image, your physique, your appearance is your business card. If you're going to talk to someone and they're all sloppy, they're fat, obese, they're all greasy and they don't take care of themselves, they have scraggly beard and all this crap, you're less likely to listen and pay attention to what they're talking about.
I'm fucking lean as shit. I have the body game that the fucking bitches want. I have the dream physique that the girls want. Like, I have it.
15 is probably like your main demographic.
No, it isn't.
They hear that content, they think it's acceptable.
Fuck the woman, fuck the woman. What?
What have I done? I'm doing it for money. I don't care about
The morality of it.
I'm not living for other people. I'm living for myself.
Hey, mi gente, it's Julian, Steve. You already know my name, but if you're new here, hey. Today is a re-upload, yes, with slight changes. One of those changes is Louis Theroux in the Manosphere documentary. Louis Theroux mentioned about a couple of Redpill adjacent content creators. A couple of them were men of color. Two of them happened to be black and or mixed race. One's name is Myron, one half of Fresh and Fit, the podcast, and Harrison Sullivan, aka HS Tikky. Yes, that's his username. These two men have distinguished but also similarities between the two of them. One of them happens to be 36, the other one happens to be 24. And these two men are hardcore red pill adjacent men, which we would consider as manosphere men, meaning men who try to do content to do self-improvement in a toxic manner. For most people would believe this is a toxic manner, while there are certain men who would disagree with men who believe it's toxic. I know I shouldn't be surprised that a Sudanese American man who happens to have self-hating issues would be a part of the Manosphere, not this specific documentary. And I shouldn't be surprised that a mixed race, English and Nigerian man is a part of this documentary who happens to have daddy issues, allegedly. I do believe we need to explore as to why these men would participate in a documentary series like in the Manosphere, but also being a part of the Manosphere as a whole. In an interview with Tudum, he states, "You mentioned in the documentary that the people you're meeting are deeply mistrustful of mainstream media. Why do you think they agreed to take part?" Derails. A few things were helpful. One was the fact that the programs that I've made are quite liked by young people. I think they can see there's a sort of free spirited, open minded, fun, slightly cheeky view of life that's enjoyable to be around and isn't house or hair crushing. I also think I've got enough of a heterodox outlook that I'm sympathical with the parts of internet culture that are provocative and outrageous and cheeky. The other thing is that they genuinely don't give a shit about being canceled. So I think it was no risk for them. While Theroux approaches the discussion of the manosphere in a free spirited, open minded, slightly cheeky view, that is not my approach. I tend to be more educational and nuanced with my approach, meaning more serious, more direct, but once again, nuanced. That being said, I can try to see both sides, but still come to a conclusion as to why certain things are not okay, which we will get there when we get there throughout this conversation, which leads to today's video topic. In the original video, I discussed how Black fitness influencers tend to be oversaturated. However, I wanted to be nuanced by trying to see from different perspectives and seeing from different communities in the fitness influencer world on Instagram and YouTube primarily. However, I did talk about how this affects other platforms like TikTok, Snapchat, and so on. Two of these groups include the body game and Looksmaxxing communities. In this video, Kyle, Samuel, Joseph, and I talk about our perspectives related to this topic. So this was a very diverse panel of different people, different perspectives, and I believe this is very important to talk about, which is why I am releasing it again for you all to see, especially if you weren't able to see the original video. Now you can rewatch this video and see certain new parts that I added on now. Okay, mi gente. Okay, mi gente. Okay. We can go on to the video. Since July 2025, I've noticed an influx of fitness influencers, specifically on Instagram and YouTube. However, when I started off tracking the fitness influencers that were popping off on my social media platforms, I mainly focused on Instagram. So most of the examples that I'm going to use throughout this video are going to be from Instagram, but we do get a couple of videos from YouTube only because I ended up finding out more things related to this topic. Cough cough, body game. Body game is a thing I found out recently. We're going to talk about that further on in the video. And a lot of coaching going on using both Instagram and YouTube to get more recruitment. Of course, other social media platforms play a factor into this circumstance too, but for transparency, I'm not really on those social media platforms, which includes TikTok, Snapchat, Reddit, Pinterest, and so on. Perfect timing to go on to the next topic. I know a lot related to digital media due to my experience working in corporate. If you didn't know, I worked in a digital media corporate job for almost 3 years, and I learned numerous things related to how digital media works, especially in paid social. So I'm going to give you my theories while also acknowledging that this was my experience working at this digital media agency and the things I learned from said agency. Based on how the algorithm works, obviously different platforms equals different outcomes, but on average, when it comes to the algorithm, They go to market based on what you watch, what your followers watch. Not necessarily your followers, but the people you are following or watching. They're going to market based on who you follow, who you are engaging with throughout your time on social media platforms. And then there's the random explore page where they randomly engage. They put like things that you may be interested in based on who you follow, based on what you've been watching, whether you were following this individual or not. Oh, just a random thing on Instagram, especially when it comes to these ad placements, which is now included on these platforms. So that also adds into what's going on. I want to mention this right here, right now, because it's on my notes and I forgot to mention it earlier. There is a way for you to recommend certain things to certain people when it comes to marketing, aside from putting key audiences, targeting certain demographics based on their ethnicity, nationality, and race. Insert like ages, if you're a mom, if you're a dad, do you work out, and so on. I do not know the exact metric or material used to do that, but I do know it's a thing because of higher ups within the digital media space. They know more about that, but they don't want to tell us people who are beneath them in the digital media space. So I just wanted to put that out there. Yes, there is a way to market even more thoroughly without using certain demographics that I just mentioned as examples to market to these individuals. Based on these factors, this is a possibility as to why certain things are happening in your algorithm. Based on my situations with the fitness thing going on, they mostly recommend me black men and biracial men. And when I say biracial man, I'm talking about mixed with black. In case you needed me to clarify, now you know. They will usually recommend me black and or biracial men who are in fitness. Most of the time, it's always men who are extremely fit and or they were for the most part in some form of shape compared to men who actually were either fat or just really skinny while especially during their adolescence. Yeah, there are a few guys where they recommend them and they show them from their body weight from while they were an adult. But from what I've noticed, the people that I get recommended to is usually they started off extremely skinny as a kid or a teenager, and then they get big out of nowhere when they're an adult, which puberty, but we'll get there when we get there. I rarely get guys who are not in the best of shape, or if they are in shape, they tend to be somewhat people would consider chubby or husky. I have a theory into that too, but we'll get there when we get there. How often do you get recommended fitness content? Is this mainly on Instagram or across social media platforms?
I mostly use YouTube and Instagram and occasionally TikTok, and even though the niches I interact with are not directly fitness, it's more so like science and, health and biological research for the most part. I still get a lot of fitness content recommended to me, so it definitely shows up pretty often. And I think once the algorithm sees that you're in sort of interested in health adjacent topics, that's when the fitness content starts to get pushed to you, and you kind of just end up in the sort of rabbit hole, so to speak. So for me, it's mainly YouTube and Instagram that I'm using, and TikTok occasionally there, but these recommendations are probably just based off of how often I engage with those platforms. So if I'm on YouTube, I'm obviously, there the majority of the time, and most of the fitness content I'm getting, if I should ever get it, should be on YouTube, right? Yeah, even though fitness is not the main thing I engage with too much, I want to say, it still ends up being in my sort of rotation that the algorithms ultimately recommend to me.
Hey, mi gente. Yes, I am here again. So I'm going to be reading Joseph's responses due to him having complications to try to film his portions of the video. Once you hear his responses further out, you're going to understand why he is currently not here representing himself. And I'm going to be reading them. So you're going to be seeing este cara, okay? Okay. Joseph states, honestly, I get recommended fitness content pretty often, almost daily. It's mainly on Instagram, especially through Reels and the Explorer page. Once you interact with a few fitness posts, the algorithm starts pushing a lot more of it to you. I also see it on TikTok sometimes, but Instagram is definitely where I see it the most. The content ranges from workout routines and diet tips to motivational clips and transformation stories. So I'd say fitness content is very present across social media, but Instagram is probably the main platform where it shows up consistently for me. Julian, Steve, take two. The reason why I am starting with theories is because theories can be important when it comes to figuring out why certain things happening, whether on social media and or real life. As long as you are being logical and not spreading conspiracy theories, then you're in safe territory. However, certain influencers have done that where they are promoting conspiracy theories just so that way they can make a lot of money. That way they can influence people to idolize them, want to be just like them for the money, or all three. We even have fitness influencers giving one sided fitness advice, overly joke, and fat phobic. Do you think black men fitness influencers are oversaturated?
Hey, what's up, beautiful people? My name is Samuel. I go by Samuel Nice on all my social media platforms. In my honest opinion, I wouldn't say black male fitness influencers are oversaturated. I think we are really seeing more visibility and representation, which is a positive thing. So, for a long time, the fitness industry didn't always highlight a lot of diverse voices. So now more black men are stepping into that space as trainers, athletes, and many more. At the end of the day, the fitness industry as a whole is very competitive. Anyone creating content has to find their own lane and their own voice, has to build that community that is very separate from all the other communities. What separate people isn't just their physique, it's their personality. Personality is very important coming to the content creating space, especially when it comes to fitness, since majority of things are the same. It's also their knowledge and how they connect with their audience. For me personally, I try to focus on educating people and making fitness very relatable. Not everyone watching is an athlete or in perfect shape, so I want my content to feel accessible and motivating for regular people who just want to improve their health and their body and also their mind. When you bring value and authenticity, there's always space for you in the fitness industry.
Have you ever been turned off by a fitness influencer based on their rhetoric and how they communicate with their viewers?
Yes, definitely. With that, I don't want to name anybody like specifically, but I've stopped watching certain influencers because of how hostile they are. And I don't just mean like being a little rude or making snappy comments in response to somebody, but I've seen people in this fitness space go way too far. Like to the point of making unaliving threats against others or encouraging physical violence, and that's just something I don't respect, to be honest with you, especially when people aren't doing anything physically violent or innately threatening to your existence. It's kind of gets a bit overboard. And when you're carrying that from the internet to online spaces, it's not a good thing. It usually ends up with people getting pushed or hurt or whatever. And another thing I think I have to mention as well is the rampant substance abuse in the fitness space. And it does not help at all because it just makes these people more impulsive and unstable. So, yes, there are definitely influencers I have been turned off by, and it's not because of how intense they are with their content, but mostly because sometimes they just cross the line and get carried away.
Joseph states, yes, there have definitely been times where I've been turned off by certain fitness influencers. Sometimes it's not even about the workouts themselves, but more about their attitude or how they communicate with their audience. For example, when someone comes across as overly arrogant, constantly shaming people, or acting like their way is the only correct way to train or eat, it can be a bit off-putting. Fitness should be something that motivates and uplifts people, not something that makes them feel judged or discouraged. I personally gravitate more toward influencers who are authentic, respectful, and realistic about the process. Hey mi gente, if you made it this far in the video, please make sure to like the video, comment, and hype up the video. Especially comment and hype up if you do have these, well, if you have the hype feature especially. I would truly thank you if you do it. Okay, mi gente, okay, mi gente, okay. Back to the video. Julian, Steve, take 3. So there is this community called Body Game on YouTube. If you didn't know, Body Game is about enhancing your physique, your appearance, and most of all, getting women.
So first, let's go into what body game is. Body game is the act of mastering your physical health and appearance through exercise, diet, and physical discipline. So you keep going to the gym when you don't feel like it. You keep working on yourself when you don't feel like it. You understand why you committed and started this journey, and you commit to that promise you made to yourself because you're gonna reap the benefits. You see the rewards.
The thing about body game you guys got to realize is that when it comes to having that nice body, the nice filled arms, the chest, that's equivalent to a woman having a nice rack and also a nice back, if you know what I mean, right? These are aspects of sex appeal within a man and a woman's body. A woman who has a nice face but lacks sex appeal in that area of her body, she's always gonna get beaten by the woman who has a nice face and has a body, right? Once again, the guy who has a decent face or even an average face, normal body versus the same guy or a similar guy with a nice face and he has an amazing body. Who's gonna win? The guy with the nice body. Of course he's gonna win.
I do want to note that this specific community focuses on heterosexual couples. So if you're thinking this is about queer people, specifically queer men, no, this is for heterosexual men. A couple of the men, in my opinion, are approaching body game in not a toxic way, and that's me being generous because I would say some of them are also toxic to some extent. Do not come for me if you're a fan of any of these creators. I'm just going based on what I've seen, and right here I'm going to show a couple of examples of their videos.
Right, I literally wake up every day ready to make my content, ready to work on my business, ready to put in that grind in the gym. A lot of men with body game focus on the sex appeal factor, which is a big part of it for sure. It shows potential partners that you care about yourself, and it shows women that you stand above others. It shows the woman that you have a lot of discipline and you put in that work for yourself, right? It also makes you more masculine. And in that, these are all traits that a woman wants for a partner. So it makes your dating life a lot easier.
Visual there. Yeah. What was your favorite muscle on a guy?
My favorite muscle.
If you had to choose one.
You have from a guy, like
Yeah.
arms. I love arms.
You have to visual there.
Hey, I like this.
have girls who don't sort of fit the bill, you know what I mean? But also, I was kind of being picky a little bit, just a little bit. All right, so like Tony's cute. What? See, y'all talking about I don't like black girls, man. If black girls look like this where I live, and I match with them consistently, then yeah, you guys will see me with a lot more black women for sure. Like, absolutely gorgeous. All right, let's.
When it comes to girls, like I'm now getting responses and messages like this. So I'm basically like trying to help as many young black men achieve like results like this, like achieve a transformation similar to this. By the way, I've been getting like a fair amount of hate. People saying like, oh, this channel is reverse racism. You know, why are you only making videos just for black men? Honestly, like to that, I say like these videos, this channel is specifically tailored towards black men, right? You know, hair, skin, like certain things with our genetics. But it doesn't mean like it's only for black men. And if you're on this channel, then you've got to get out. Like, you can watch these videos, bro. Like, I'm not
to stroke my own dick, not to sound like I'm just fucking glazing myself, but listen, I'm here to tell you this. Y'all men out there right now who are depressed, fat, overweight, on depression pills, not getting laid, not getting the matches on Tinder, not getting the DM replies you want, it's because you're not what these women desire. Okay? You're not what she desires. Me personally, I had a numerous amount of women who tried to literally approach me. Ever since I had got on body game, I'm talking from young women to middle-aged to older, from married. It gets wicked out here, bro. When you truly have something that these females desire.
I'm gonna throw up some pictures, and I want you guys to tell me the difference between the two and explain why one of the pictures attracts more high-quality women and gets me the results that I want, and why the other one only attracts fat chicks and men. Now, I mean, I'm still showcasing my physique in both of them, so what's the difference? I'll tell you, in this first one, I'm not so try-hard, and it adds a little bit of mystery. It could be a modeling shoot. I could be on an island. While this one is just me at the gym, and I'm just flexing my muscles. This just signals that I spend a lot of time in the gym, but what else do I have to offer? And unfortunately, this is what a lot of you guys' dating profiles actually look like. It's either you in the gym, or a mirror selfie with your shirt off. And I'm telling you guys right now, once you understand that these chicks are always looking to disqualify you, you're gonna stop putting these gym pictures on your dating profiles. You're gonna stop moving like a gym bro. Because at the end,
People are sloppy, most people are skinny twigs, or they're fat, obese, right? Look around, go to any store, go to anywhere you go. Majority of people in there, besides if you're in a gym, are going to be out of shape. It's just what it is, right? It's come to the point where you don't even have to be crazy jacked or anything for you to stand out at this point, because most people are just not in shape, right? So someone with a jacked physique, for example, like me, I obviously have a jacked physique. You can clearly see I have a six-pack. You know, I have huge aesthetic muscles and whatever, right? You see my physique. I stand out amongst the crowd. I constantly get the benefits of being in shape. I'm very noticeable. Was I always like this? No.
you would want to take the easy way. I mean the juices. You would need to avoid junk food nonsense. You would need to work out on weekends. You would need to constantly work on your mindset. You would want to give up. You would want to blame the success of others on juices like this. It'll suck some days. You would need proper coaching when you get stuck. But you know what's going to happen after you go through all of this? You will master your body forever. You will make more money than you think. You will have more dates and love than you can possibly imagine. You have the best life you never once imagined. You will get there one day. I believe in you. And if you want to get there fast with my personal guidance and avoid the 8 years of trial and error I went through, click the first link below.
While I do believe certain videos of theirs is somewhat valuable, I also feel like some of it is projection and over explaining women's point of view instead of just having women speak for themselves. I do want to give one of the creators credit, Wellness with Randy. He brought in his girlfriend, and his girlfriend happens to be a black woman, specifically brown skin.
Cringy. It's going to be cringy, or at least too forced. I think that's what it is.
Okay, too forced. Okay. So before we dive into it, like, what do you want to see in, like, if somebody puts you in a dating app or in person, doesn't matter. That's a dating app first, then in person.
So, like, what do I want to see as far as, like, if I was the woman or
the woman? Yeah.
Oh, I would say, like, if someone was in my DMs, I would want someone to be more relaxed, like not nonchalant, but like not forcing it and being like, "Oh my God, you're so pretty," and like that's cringy. That's so cringy.
Yeah, it is.
And when you see these black and or biracial men's thumbnails on their channels, you will notice that these men mostly include mixed race women, black women who happen to be lighter skinned or non-black women in their thumbnails. He is a bit more unique, as in, aside from her complexion and her racially, you can see that she's included in his work, where she gives her perspective as a woman on her thoughts on body gain and or her thoughts on dating. Of course, Renell Gaines, he did talk to a couple of women, but for the most part, it comes off as shallow. And you can see that he talks to certain types of women. He was on Love Island, where most of the guys they dated interracially and or they, in my opinion, they put whiteness or non-blackness on a pedestal. So it makes sense as to why he's the way he is, the way he's marketing himself, even if certain women are fetishizing him too. And then there's grifting. Yes.
It's all BS. Because as a man, you can literally do whatever you want to do, but you just have to choose what direction you're going to go into. And I work with a lot of guys in my program, 10X Mastery, to fix the same problem. And the one thing I do is I say, hey, you have to make a decision. You can't have both lives. You can't be a guy who's unstructured, undisciplined, having a bunch of fun, doing this, and that, and still be the guy who wants to make $1 million a year, 10K a year, 20K a year, six-pack abs, getting a woman in dreams, being attractive. You can't be two the same guys.
You're going to experience that side of life when you got body gain, when you're in shape, when you under 15, 10% body fat. I'm telling you, I'm trying to tell you, bro. I'm trying to tell you. So, if y'all, want help with that, I'm going to have some one-on-one coaching. I'm also about to drop a course. Just let me know in the comments if you're interested in the course or the one-on-one coaching, and we're going to get y'all right. Because at the end of the day, the reason why I want to get some of y'all right is because it should get hard out here to find genuine males, genuine guys who are on the same path.
I'm going to say this. I do believe some of them are doing it mainly for the money. Based on what I've heard from their videos, how they are marketing, they use a specific tone of voice, they use specific keywords to negotiate to their clients without compromising something with their clients yet until they finalize it by going to their special link. Which, by the way, I talked about this when it came to James Neon back in December 2025. I do recommend it, as I talked about grifting on that video, my thoughts about James Neon, his business venture, and more. So check it out after this video. To me, body game is similar to Looksmaxxing. If you didn't know, Looksmaxxing is to achieve the most of your physical appearance and looking presentable, but in a very intense way, where certain people do drastic changes to their facial features and or muscle features, whether it comes to surgeries, taking steroids, or taking any form of a drug to improve their appearance. Based on my opinion, I believe most of the time it is a bad thing, Looksmaxxing. I believe it's bad. That's it. I don't know why I'm trying to sugarcoat myself. I do believe it's bad. I believe body game is a bit more flexible compared to Looksmaxxing, but I do see that the two can clash with one another, as there are similarities between the two groups, in my opinion. That is why it's very hard for me to be nuanced right now, as you can tell. Do you believe communities like Body Game and Looksmaxxing are helpful for boys and men?
I think there are two sides to that conversation. On one hand, the idea of self-improvement is positive. A lot of young men are starting to care more about things like fitness, grooming, and discipline. Also building confidence, which is also very important. Going to the gym, taking care of your body, and improving your lifestyle can have a huge positive impact on your mental health and self-esteem. But on the other hand, sometimes those communities can become too focused on appearance and unrealistic standards, where the message becomes that your value is only based on how you look. That can create insecurities instead of confidence. In my opinion, the healthiest approach is self-improvement without self-hate. Improving your physique, your style, or your habits should come from a place of wanting to grow and not from feeling like you're not good enough. So I think those spaces can be helpful if the message stays balanced and encourages discipline, confidence, and personal growth, and not just chasing a certain look and unrealistic standards. Another key point that many of this Looksmaxxing tend to not comprehend is that not everybody gonna have the same physique. Genetics also plays a huge role when it comes to the physiques you see that you think you might achieve, because not everyone was created the same.
16-year-old Lucas O states, while there is nothing inherently wrong with the quest for an attractive body, the addition of social media to our society has caused young people to be bombarded with images of the perfect man or woman, with the unattainable goal of perfection, leading many to feel insecure and wonder why they don't look the way that they think they should. Social media's portrayal of hypermasculinity can lead to anxiety for men who think that they don't meet the criteria of society's masculinity because it has accentuated the idea that masculinity is solely derived from physical appearance. This pressure to be hypermasculine can create communities where men are discouraged from showing certain emotions such as fear, further contributing to this omnipresent anxiety. Lucas is not denying on how social media plays a role in body insecurities. It sure does. Fitness advice is even becoming tied with dating advice, which is why you have creators like Austin. Austin the Ham. The Ham, I believe that's how you say his last name.
You as the beta or the guy that they don't break rules for, versus once you start getting that physique, you're gonna be the guy that they break rules for. First date, second date, they want to kiss you, they want to sleep with you. You don't even gotta take them out on dates that they're really attracted to. I've done no dates game for years on end, and a lot of that I led not only with my facial attraction, but with my body game too, and everything else just pretty much amplified that. Now, once upon a time, I was on this date with a woman, and she was fairly attractive. I mean, she wasn't necessarily fit, but she still had like a decent physique. Nothing that I thought, was out of the ordinary. Now, remember on this date, she kept mentioning, you're so fit, oh my god, how you get so fit? And like literally every conversation point, every 30 minutes, she was bringing it up. And through that, she was finding excuses to like touch my arms. She wanted me to flex. And then I was like, oh, let me see yours. And she flexed back too. Because of that, I've noticed that body game has lended itself to allow things through physical escalation to happen a lot more naturally.
And he's not the only creator who has done this, especially within the body game space and or the Looksmaxxing space. He's not the only one. Circling back to Louis Theroux's documentary, In the Manosphere, creators Myron Gaines and Tikky received backlash due to their appearances on the documentary. These two men voiced their opinions on this in different forms, honestly. Myron on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Tikky on Piers Morgan's podcast and the TV show on YouTube. However, I'm going to explain in a more proper way both individuals' portions of their complaints. Mr. Theroux went on Chris Williamson's podcast and said his grievances related to Myron Gaines. Here is his response.
I mean, to quote Myron Gaines, one of the main people I speak to is a guy called Myron Gaines. Are you familiar with him?
Yes.
So he's part of a double act called Fresh and Fit. They have a podcast in Miami. Their content is very extreme. And Myron Gaines wrote a book called Why Women Deserve Less.
So there you go. #1 bestseller in feminist theory. Let's go, nigga.
And his whole message is that women have been pampered and they are over entitled. And as men, we need to recognize that and give them less, and everything will go more smoothly. And so his message would be, men can hack the game of life. I can teach you the cheat codes of life. A lot of it based on old PUA, pickup artistry, supposed hacks. Negging women, recognizing that women are, in their words or in their view, status obsessed, and then you can build the life that you would like and would deserve by employing his techniques. I mean, there's a lot more that could be said about that. I mean, I found it so inimical to the way I think about it. I mean, I was raised by a feminist mum, and in South London, in a world where, the idea that, my mum was a working mum. I grew up in the 70s in South London. So these ideas are so alien to me that I had to kind of get my head around it. I think a lot of it seems to be based on his interactions with cam girls and OnlyFans models. Like, in his world, he's like when he's talking about women, he only really seems to be talking about Instagram models and women who do a lot of social media. Like that gets you some way down to understanding like what his mindset is. But within his sample group, he's in this world where there's this competition in which all women, one of his big things is like women shouldn't go on social media. And if you have a girlfriend, you got to keep her off social media. Even Myron Gaines would say a lot of what he says to be outrageous, to get people's attention, to wake them up. Like they do sort of walk back. Some of the things they say are so horrific. I don't even want to really repeat them, but so sort of horrific in terms of seeming to endorse sexual assault or certainly minimize it, and saying things like, as I said, like that women shouldn't vote. I think he said at one point he thought gay people should be rounded up and put in special camps.
Due to the podcast episode, Myron was upset and voiced his opinions on X related to the discussion and his issues with the host of the podcast. Myron Gaines states,
For years, I have ignored Chris Williamson, platforming my critics, detractors, and outright haters on modern wisdom. He has given them endless airtime to push their narratives, spin lies, and mischaracterize me completely unchecked without any real pushback or banners. About 2 years ago, I even met Chris in person in Miami, and the interaction was cordial. Out of respect for that encounter and a desire to keep things civil, I chose not to call him out publicly, even though this platform had already been going on for a long time. But enough is enough. At Chris Will X, you are a coward, and I am calling you out publicly for this pattern of selective cowardness that has gone on far too long. You even recorded a full multi-hour interview with Andrew Tate, then chose to shove it entirely out of fear of backlash, while repeatedly amplifying Tate's critics and giving them free rein to attack him. That is not principled podcasting. That is fear-driven hypocrisy. He selectively edited and framed the footage to push a clear agenda, conveniently omitting key context and moments that would have told the full, unfiltered story. Fully expecting this, I recorded all my interactions with Louis Theroux and his team. Tonight, I am exposing exactly what he was too scared to include. The audience deserves the truth, not a curated hit piece. Chris, you have had years, even after meeting me face to face, to extend the same courtesy to me that you have lavished on my opponents. You have platformed lies about me repeatedly, but never once given me the chance to correct them directly. Stop hiding behind your platform. Stop being a coward. Invite me on Modern Wisdom, or stop platforming my haters, letting them openly lie with zero pushback. Let the audience hear both sides unfiltered. At this point, if you don't let your audience hear both sides, it proves you are too scared of what I have to say. Address the gross misrepresentations heads on. Your move, the clock is ticking.
Now, I want to be nuanced, but also honest at the same time. Does Myron have every right to be offended? yeah, show, because people are saying things about him that he may disagree about and or find problematic for his brand. However, Myron has been known for being a self-hating Sudanese American man who happens to be black and or mixed race, like I said earlier on in the video. Besides his self-hating issues, he's also a huge component of the red-pilled Manosphere content creation space. The content creation space of the red-pilled Manosphere has gone sporadically at this point. So now that it's bigger, it's becoming more of a trend with younger people than Myron. That's why we have people like Curricular, I think that's how you say his name, his stage name. People like Harrison. And I can name a bunch of other people, but I already done that on this video, who are in this community where they want to give advice to men, specifically heterosexual men who are insecure about their bodies and are insecure about not getting women, not able to get money, having no self-esteem when it comes to like their income and so on. These factors make these communities get bigger and bigger with toxic masculinity. Now, can there be valuable lessons in these communities? Yes, but that is not the case for most of these men. Most of these men are just building up more and more their hatred of women and men who do not comply with their movement. What he could have done is use his platform for good and reevaluate on what he has done in his content. But no, Myron doesn't want to back down on what he has done wrong, and that was the point of the whole documentary. Mr. Derails wanted Myron and friends or acquaintances to think about what they have done to the young space of red-pilled manosphere boys and men. Full transparency, because I want to be honest while I'm trying to be nuanced. Like I said earlier on this video, I believe that Looksmaxxing, body game, and or insert a different community. In this case, that would be the Manosphere, even though the Manosphere is connected to Looksmaxxing and even to some extent body game. I believe Manosphere content is dangerous. I do believe that. Speaking of Harrison, HS Tikky went on the Piers Morgan show on YouTube and was a guest talking about this documentary, right? Him and Piers Morgan got into a heated argument, which led for the episode not being aired on his YouTube channel till this day. So I'm going to try my best to include a clip.
But I'm curious why you don't think disowning a child for being gay is homophobic.
What I do with my children is up to me. What I do with my children is up to me.
Of course. Okay? Of course.
I don't agree with you going to Epstein's Island and having freak-offs with Ghislaine Maxwell and the rest of them. But I don't need to bring it up because this is about misogyny
just to be clear,
and everything like this.
Harrison,
okay?
Harrison,
okay, I don't agree with that,
just
sir.
To be clear, just to be clear,
freak-offs on the island.
Yes, nor do I. And as is a
are you sure? Are you sure?
Do you want to keep doing this? You'll make yourself look very stupid.
Are you sure, Piers?
That I've
never been to Jeffrey Epstein's Island. I'm 100% positive. I never met the man, never went to his island. I met Ghislaine Maxwell for 5 minutes at a book launch. If you've got any supplementary
mentioned a lot of times.
No
mentioned
problem.
a lot of times in there, sir.
I have no problem. You're not, I don't think, if I say this very respectfully, I don't think you're very well informed about things like that. Or you wouldn't go there, because it's...
Why are you in the files?
Why don't you check the 27 references to me in the files?
Why are you in the files, sir? Very close to these types of people.
Go and check. and all your followers, you can. The great thing about the Epstein files, you can put somebody's name in, and you
You
can
like
see
to compare
everything
me
that comes
to
up.
Tate and Myron and everyone else, so because my name is close to them in the Manosphere. But if I compare you to Epstein and Maxwell, you have a clear problem with it, sir. You compare me to Myron and all the others in this homophobic, misogynistic, whatever world. I'm comparing you to Epstein then because you're in his files. Exactly. Let's
You're
stop
making
this.
yourself look an
and let's
even
go
bigger
back.
idiot than you did on the Netflix show.
Oh, really? Really?
Yes.
To people like you, sir, I don't mind that. You make yourself look like an idiot every single day when your wife is at home posting pictures that you're out and she wants to get used like a toy by a big black man who is cleaning her car. Is that why you have a problem with me? Is that why you're pushing this homophobic narrative? Because I'm the big black man that shagged your wife while you are on holiday. Okay? We can all have a push and a shove, sir. Let's go back to talking about the documentary and less of the homophobia.
Do you know what? Here's what I think about you. I watched the documentary. I think you're a fucking idiot. I think you're a sexist, misogynist, homophobic twerp who got exposed in a global way by Netflix, by Louis Theroux, for what you are. You're a little half-wit, and you'll make your little followers
don't get rattled.
have a little laugh
Don't get
and everything
rattled.
else. You know what? I'm not doing this. Sorry, guys. It's pointless.
Nuance. So when it comes to this, I'm sorry, I can't be too nuanced. Say what you want about Piers Morgan, but he did everything right related to doubling down on Harrison's comments related to having a gay and or lesbian child. That was a good approach of him trying to double down on what he had said. And this would have been a good way for him to backtrack what he had said. This was a good approach of addressing a problem that he has said and happens to be dangerous, especially to queer people. However, HS Tikky has his own views, and he believes that if his child happens to be gay and or lesbian, he is not going to claim them. That to me is messed up, and it's very old fashioned, especially for someone who is 24. But then again, he may have been raised differently. That doesn't excuse him because once again, you can't change your mind. But do you think most people are going to want to support you? Second of all, yes, Piers Morgan being a part of the Epstein files is concerning. However, according to him, he wasn't deep into the affiliation of the Epstein Island Chronicles or whatever people prefer to call it. And this is not me defending Piers Morgan. I know people have their issues with him. I'm just saying, based on what he had said on this episode and the way Harrison went about approaching this topic by being an immature jerk. I felt very icky when he brought up oh, I'm a black man and you're just mad because your white woman wants me.
When your wife is at home posting pictures that you're out and she wants to get used like a toy by a big black man who is cleaning her car. Is that why you have a problem with me? Is that why you're pushing this homophobic narrative? Because I'm the big black man that shagged your wife while you are on holiday. Okay? We can all have a push and a shove, sir.
First off, Harrison, and I'm trying to be respectful, while you can't identify as a black man, you're mixed race. And the fact that you're from the UK, that'll make sense for you to just identify as a black man, knowing that in the UK, mixed race people are mixed race people. Sure, you are a part of the black community, but you're still mixed. And then, fun fact, I didn't even know that Harrison was a biracial man until I read about his father being Nigerian. The whole thing was weird. That whole interaction was fucking weird. I'm like, what am I hearing? I know some of you may have found this entertaining, but I was just looking like, what is this? In a sense, he's fetishizing black men, which I think is another issue I have with that whole interaction. He made it sound like his wife has a fetish for black men, and he happens to be one of her fetishes based on what he was saying. And like I said, it's weird because you're mixed race and you're from the UK. So when I saw this whole interaction, I was very confused. This makes me wonder how his white mother raised him. She gotta do better, and the black dad gotta do better too. Before we move on, I want to give credit to Elliot Singh again. Elliot made an amazing video related to the documentary, and it's very insightful. I learned numerous things about the documentary and about the creators a part of the documentary. It was very insightful to watch instead of watching the actual documentary. Yeah, I refuse to watch that documentary. I think I know enough about the Manosphere. But if you want to not watch the documentary like me, I suggest you to go watch Elliot's video related to this topic. I'm going to leave his channel and the channel link in the description. You're welcome. Julian, Steve, take 4. A year ago, Kyle, Joseph, and I made a video where we talked about our fitness journeys. To recap, since it's been in a year by now since we made that video, I wanted us to come back here and give a recap of our journeys.
Yeah, so last year when we did our interview, I was in a different place, but now I would say my fitness journey has become more about, being consistent, trying to find a degree of stability in the routine, because lately I've been trying to lose some weight, and it's mostly just water retention and bloat, so that has involved with me drinking more and just cleaning up a bit of my diet as well. And at the same time, I started a new business. So, I have to manage that sort of side hustle with my day job being a software engineer. So I just don't get enough time to go to the gym as I used to. And right now I'm mostly going between maybe 1 to 2 times a week, at the most 3 times a week. It's usually just averaging to about like 2 times a week. So, that's not too bad, but it's good. My strength markers on my squat and my bench have stayed within normal range, although I've probably declined a little bit on the bench press. So for perspective, right now I can do around 275 pounds for 10 reps across 3 sets. Pretty comfortable. But when I was going 4 to 5 times a week, I was pushing around 335 pounds for 5 reps, sometimes getting 5 sets, mostly just getting 2 to 3 sets. So 335 pounds from 275 pounds is, it sounds like a huge decline. It is, the weight does feel different, but being able to bench 275 pounds that many times, for me is like, I'm at peace. I don't need to ask for more, and I don't need to destroy my muscles and try to force myself to get back into the gym. Gradually, I think I'll get back to my original sort of strength point. But yeah, that said though, I do have to say that I took a 2-month break towards the end of last year, and then I took another month off this past February because of, my business obligations, things that I just have to do. So there is a bit of a sacrifice that needs to be made. But honestly, I'm fine with where I'm at, and I still feel good about my progress, and right now I'm focused on maintaining a solid, balance. So, that's where I am for the most part.
Joseph states, over the past year, my fitness journey hasn't been as consistent as I would have liked. Work has taken up a lot of my time, and balancing everything hasn't always been easy. There have been periods where I wasn't able to train regularly, and my eating and sleeping habits haven't always been the best either. That said, the experience has made me more aware of how important those things actually are. When your schedule gets busy, fitness is usually one of the first things that gets pushed aside. but it also made me realize how much better I feel mentally and physically when I do make time to move, even if it's just a short workout. Right now, my focus is more about getting back into a routine and building consistency again. I'm not chasing perfection, I'm just trying to create a lifestyle where I can balance work, health, and recovery better. The goal going forward is to be more intentional with my time, improve my eating and sleep habits, and slowly get back to a place where fitness is a regular part of my life again. So, after that release of the video, I wasn't necessarily working out consistently. The most I was doing was walking due to my mental health, get some fresh air outside of the apartment, normal stuff. And then we go skipping, skipping, skipping. It gets cold. It's winter right now in New York City. Now we in December. And that's when I had an epiphany where I was like, I need to get my shit together. I need to exercise, get my mind busy, as it's been a bit overwhelming due to how this country is going, me being unemployed still, me dealing with crackheads downstairs, and other stuff, to name a few. I realized I need to do something for me, for my mental, but also my physical health, as I felt like I could do more to feel better physically, have more strength, and so on. So I decided to start off working out by watching Buddy Juice again, Buddy Juice videos to work out to. And that's what I did. I watched a couple of his videos to figure out what I'm going to do again. And then I started off by watching 2 videos of Buddy Juices. Then I started to research more about workout techniques that I can do at home that may be more beneficial for me. One of the things was kettlebell. Yes, I purchased a kettlebell. That's long story short. I always wanted to, but I never had the courage to purchase one, and I chose to do that in January 2026. So while I was waiting, I was continuing to use Buddy Juice workout videos to keep on exercising until the kettlebell came. So the kettlebell came, and ever since then, I've been working out using the kettlebells. And I've been working out about, I would say, 3 to 4 times a week, about 50 minutes to an hour and 30 minutes. And that depends if I'm a bit tired while working out, or if I'm doing more workout routines within the workout, it takes me a bit longer. I do want to improve on working out a bit more to like maybe 2 hours at least at home, but I'm still figuring it out right now. I don't want to overdo what I can do at the moment, so that's why I'm doing that. But it has been working for me in my benefit, as I gained a lot of muscle, and my family has seen it based on what the nurse informed me while I was at the hospital recently because I had to get a physical. She informed me that I weigh 176. My assumption is I gained about 12 pounds. Of course, some of it probably is a bit of fat, but most of it is muscle fat. So, me sharing this is to show you that I gained more muscle working out at home versus going to an actual gym. And if you watched the video of Kyle, Joseph, and I, you would know my story of trying to work out at Crunch and how it didn't really do much to my body and more stuff that happened. I'm not going to talk about it on this video. I recommend to watch that video. But my point of sharing this is to show you that even though I'm not going to an actual gym, me working out using a kettlebell helped to improve my body composition. Julian, Steve, take 5. I didn't want to get dark on this video, but we need to talk about life changes. So I'm going to use 3 examples of 3 men who happens to be in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. Unfortunately, one of them had passed away recently. James Miller is a 64-year-old Black American man from California. At the age of 57, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. He was given 7 years of life left. Thankfully, his cancer diagnosis has been in moderation and he's alive. He's currently 64 years old. However, due to the diagnosis, there have been changes for his life. In the median threat to Black men's health states, Miller takes a daily dose of androgen deprivation therapy, and 3 months he gets a neutron injection. Both hormone treatments have slowed the cancer's growth and kept it at bay. Now 64, he's outlived the 7-year death sentence, but the side effects of these testosterone blockers aren't a walk in the park. Weight gain, loss of muscle, fatigue, and lowered libido. I hope there's someone out there that I can be with who will accept me for what I am now, he says. But it does play into your sense of manhood. What kind of man you are now versus what you were. As stated, due to his cancer diagnosis, James is not the same man he was before. However, I am thankful that he is still alive and with us. Do not be hard on yourself. You worked hard to live in California in your house or mansion, I'm assuming. So try to continue doing the best you can to stay alive and well. This is unfortunately similar to fitness influencer Bill Mada and actor James Van Der Beek. Bill is currently 57 years old. In 2012, he was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. He underwent surgery and chemotherapy that left him physically plundered and deeply depressed, he says. However, he bounced back by working out again and posting his workout routine online. In comparison to James, he was diagnosed with colorectal cancer in 2023 at age 46. He had to alter his lifestyle, including his fitness. On February 11th, 2026, he passed away at age 48, leaving behind his wife Elizabeth and 6 children. I know Bill is Asian and James is white. However, using these 2 men's experiences showcase that aside from all men, regardless of race, go through similar things when it comes to health issues, it also shows the humanity of these men and men in general. It shows that some of us might go through hardships, whether it comes to our mental health, physical health, and so on. Now, I'm not saying that every man is going to go through something similar to these 3 men, but I'm pointing out to you who focus too much on the physical appearance of trying to be attractive or trying to get the attention of women to know that this is not the way to go. You should have a balance where you're not mentally chasing the ideal body type, knowing that life could go different directions. What you should do instead is be healthy, both mentally and physically, while also respecting the choices of other people who may be different than you. I believe that everyone has their own form of self care or physical care. And things like a cancer diagnosis can change how you approach it. Then we have to add that there are people with chronic illnesses, physical disabilities, fat, and so on. So we have to approach these topics with more nuance, with more acceptance of how people want to live their lifestyles without being fixated on very superficial things or very one sided arguments. What do you do to make sure you're inclusive to all types of bodies? For examples, clients or friends who are not in the best shape, or if someone has a chronic illness?
That was a very great question to ask, and it took me a while to actually think about this. For me, inclusivity start with meeting people where they are. You know, everyone comes into the fitness at a different stage. Some people are athletes, some are beginners, and some people might be dealing with injuries or health conditions. As a trainer, what I do is that I focus on customizing workouts based on their personal goals and their abilities. If someone is new to the gym or not in the best shape yet, we focus on building a strong foundation and confidence first. If someone has a limitation or a chronic illness, we modify exercises so they can still train safely and make progress. I also try to create a space where people feel comfortable and supported. Fitness shouldn't feel intimidating or exclusive. Fitness is for everyone. It should feel like a tool that helps people improve the quality of their life. At the end of the day, my goal is to help people become stronger, healthier, and more confident in their own body, no matter where they're starting from or their background.
Julian, Steve, take 6. Concluding statement and the outro of this video. Do I believe that black men and biracial men deserve to be fitness influencers? Yes. Do I believe some of them overdo it when it comes to being a fitness influencer? Also, yes. However, I do believe that everyone has a space on the internet where they can showcase their talents of physical fitness and or wanting to promote their coaching skills, whether virtually or in person. But I do believe when it comes to a point where it's becoming oversaturated, which that's how I feel to some extent, I do think that we need to question things, which is why this video exists now. Not everyone needs to be a fitness influencer. Just like how certain people feel like not everyone should be a life coach or a content creator in general, that's my same feeling when it comes to fitness influencers. One more thing. Yes, dating is hard. Trust me, I know. And I'm saying this as a person who is single and tends to be socially awkward. I'm being transparent. But you need to talk to women, not only in a sexual way, but getting to know them as an equal. Regardless of your sexual orientation, you should have women friends. You need to have more women friendships, not just being friends with men and then dating women and or just sleeping with women. That is what I'm getting from some, if not most of these creators giving this fitness advice, specifically body game and or Looksmaxxing advice. You need to change that. You need to change that mindset. And that way you can get different perspectives, not just the male perspective. Thank you so much if you made this far in this video. I appreciate you. Be sure to like this video, comment, share, subscribe, and if you have the hype feature, please hype this video. But I do have a question for you all. Do you believe that black men in fitness has been oversaturated, specifically fitness influencers? Do you believe that black male fitness influencers are oversaturated? Let me know below. Okay, mi gente. Okay, mi gente. Okay. Thank you and
peace, mi gente. Thanks for having me on.
Peace, mi gente.
Peace, mi gente. Have a blessed and wonderful day, guys, or evening.
Peace, mi gente.